Hello and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 3, and where you left us off, we had just done a little recap of where we'd been up to. We've made it to January 1st, 1941, and we've started now the deployment of our garrison units across northern France to supplement the other units. We've got our security divisions starting to come out, and we've also finished the upgrading now of several of these Panzer divisions. Our manpower is looking pretty low, so I'm going to need to be slightly careful. After this run of infantry that I'm making, I'm probably going to stop. Now, we've got some decisions to make. So, foreign Wehrmacht recruitment, we're going to say allow it. Now, our annual espionage focus, let's go for... Let's go for economic spying, just for that little bit of IC efficiency. Now, national focus-wise, we could go with just the army one, or we could go with the naval one. I think the army one's best for now. And let's just boost the existing. Now, economic boost, we're going to go with short term this time. And we have fine-tuned the war machine. And we've got a couple of SS units out now. So let's say we need them. Now, one of them I just think pops up on the map. Yeah, so we get a HQ unit here, as well as the Viking, SS Viking division. And I've also created a siege corps. So I've taken our railway artillery, moved in some of our Panzer Schule units, and created some divisions out of ad hoc formations that we had, purely for the basis of attacking Leningrad, Moscow, and Stalingrad when we get there, if we get there. Now, we can create a couple of infantry divisions. So let's form both of them. Get them pushed out. That'll be done by April. And we can introduce a new model Panzer division for 41. So, 21 Panzer divisions were rather different to those of the campaigns of Poland and Western Europe. On paper, the number of German Panzer divisions has doubled. In reality, the overall military potential grew by only about 40%. And I think that's because they made them slightly smaller. Yeah, so the number of tanks in the 1941 style divisions were therefore relatively small compared to their predecessors' composition. All other units in these formations were fully motorized to match the speed of the tanks. Many of the motorized components were equipped with foreign trucks, artillery, and other vehicles, mostly from French arsenals. In the immediate perspective, the overall military potential grew by around 40%. However, this advantage of higher numbers produced the downside of higher maintenance requirements, inadequate supply of spare parts, and supply difficulties in the Soviet Union. So we are going to increase their numbers, but not their size, purely for the manpower. And there's a bug that's coming up where Manchukuo is saying that it can join our faction, but it won't let me because they're a puppet. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Just going to have to deal with that annoyance throughout. And we are ready now to invade Yugoslavia. So just got the last of our units moving into position, including attaching you to 3rd Army Corps, because we've got a couple of basic cavalry divisions here to outflank, and we're going to proclaim a limited war and go for a conquer. So let's move in all of our units. We've had more than enough time to reorg. Going to leave you there as a blocker. Now, from a reduction standpoint, because of the fact we are running a little bit low on manpower, I am going to switch to naval and air building pretty soon, once these units are out. My hope is that all of these semi-motorized infantry divisions will be done before Barbarossa. As you can see, I've started organising for Barbarossa now. And I've got a list of wins here. So we lose some supply, but we do get combat movement speed, armour build speed, and hard attack. So that's good. Now, this is an important event here. I really don't think we need any more things soon. But anyway, so German occupation policy in the East. Now our preparations for Operation Barbarossa have started. We should consider which occupation policy we want for the conduct of the war. The confused and evil mind of Rosenberg suggesting to create a Reichskommissariat for the entire Western Soviet Union area. The Slav population probably won't like the idea of becoming second-class citizens of the German Empire. Ribbentrop proposed a plan to support the struggle for a shake-up of the yoke of the Soviet suppression of non-Russian minorities and for more or less independent buffer states after the German victory. These states should become part of a new European order with a common foreign, finance and economic policy, but sovereignty in domestic issues. For the purposes of the campaign, I will be selecting Puppet the Russian states, because that 12 unity loss actually impacts them quite heavily. Because they're on 100 at the moment, but I don't think that's true. Yeah, they're on 95%. So if we go for Puppet the Russian states, then if we stop increasing threat and go for Disrupt National Unity from this point onwards, we should be able to impact or influence them quite negatively over the next few months. Now we've got a lot of IC to play with. I'm going to start building some more air wings. So let's start getting some more planes out. Because that has much less of a manpower issue. And they've not attacked. Now, I am going to call to arms Romania and Hungary. Because that's the first call to arms that we can send. Yep, we will take that trade with you, Vichy, because you'll give us money. I'm not really using our air assets in this war because it's quite a basic war. And we've nearly finished our oil conversion, oil factories that I started back in, I think, 37 or 36. These two, though, I know I didn't start that one until 38, but Stettin, I think I started that in 37, and it's finally finishing, which is pretty impressive. It's taken a long time, but, you know, that does happen. Right, so... have they? But it says it's under Vichy rule. Wait. Were they allied or something? No, they can't have been. Did they join the Allies? Okay. Now they don't have a huge amount of troops, but I don't have a huge lot of assets in the area either, because I'm preparing for Barbarossa. That's strange. Let me just wait for the time to tick on a bit, because sometimes you can get a situation where, like, they... Yeah. Yeah, so they didn't join the Allies. The game just put them there. I'm not sure what happened there. That does happen. Yeah, we'll create historical HQs. Why not? So the 58th Panzer Corps has just been created, along with the 4th Panzer Group and the 1st Panzer Group, along with this LV Corps here. I wish that would piss off, and I can't get rid of it either by right-clicking. So, yeah, it's getting a little bit annoying. How goes our attack? So, let's move up here with aggressor. You know what? You're better off attacking there. You're better off attacking there. You guys can move up. Asking you guys take the Flak Regiment up. And the 1st Cavalry Division is moving into position. Now we're going to take the balanced sane approach. And we've got a huge amount of IC to keep funneling into things. So, air wing wise, what could we do with? I think we could do with a horde of medium bombers. Let's get another 9 groups of them. Because we're going to start bombing the British mainland. Preparing, you know, for attacks there. And 4th Panzer is now up, which brings us to 11 Panzer divisions in this area here, not to mention the others. In fact, we could go for a full Panzer reorganization now. Motorized organization as well. Yeah, it's worth thinking about. It's definitely worth thinking about. Because, yeah, you've got you guys. Yeah, let's take all the motorized infantry divisions that we have here and move them. Let's move all of these units that are motorized, like for example this group here, you guys. Any other motorized units? Yep, these 2 Panzer divisions here. Let's get you all together, shall we? Can tell we have a huge amount of motorized units to call upon. Relatively happy with the setup. We've got some more field divisions. And in fact, let's move all of our captured equipment up as well. Right, so we've won a few battles here and there. Let's get... there we go, yeah. We're all in the war here. And I almost want to test out the siege corps here. Why not? Let's move him into Belgrade area. And see how you perform. Now we've got some irritating partisans. Trade Weave Review. Okay. Let's make sure that all of our units are committed, like you, for example. Now we are facing the strongest resistance here. Don't really care about you. More bothered about this SS Panzer group here being at full strength. That's more like it. You're not a particularly inspiring unit, I must say. So let's quickly keep you now. I did rearrange our navy as well. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to send you guys off on a very long-range mission. Let's have a look. So, yeah, let's send you guys, like, here for convoy raiding, and put you on passive. Cool. Then following that, we can put these coastal submarine raiders on convoy raiding and put them on passive. We can also move these guys out and go convoy raiding and go passive. Convoy raiding, passive. We can put these under the U-boat section. This is the first major convoy raiding expedition that we've done since we started World War II. So let's see how they perform. I expect great things from my convoy raiders. I accidentally put them on aggressive. Oh well. It's only one set. And then you guys, which, you know what, let's have you go to the Azores. Right. So we've got a lot of convoy raiders out now. Let's see how they do. Got a whole load of fighting going on in the air. We've already managed to sink a few convoys. It's good. Looks like they're pushing back a little bit here. So we've issued Hitler's Orders Directive 22, which is really the beginning of the Africa campaign. So after Hitler realised the magnitude of the Italian defeat during Operation Compass, Hitler issued Directive 22 on 11th January 1941, ordering the dispatch of the Schwederband Libyen blocking detachment Libya as part of Untermartin Sonnenblume, Operation Sunflower. On the 3rd of February, I've got to learn to pronounce operation in German better. So, Unternehmen Sonnenblumen. Operation Sunflower. On the 3rd of February, Hitler agreed to send another Panzer division to join the 5th Light Africa Division, General Major Johann von Rievenstein. The first German troops reached Libya on the 14th of February and for the first tanks on the 20th of February. A Panzer Corps of 2 divisions had been recommended by General Hans von Funk to visit Libya in January and by General Ino von Rietelin, a senior military attaché in Rome, but Hitler agreed to only send another Panzer regiment, not a division. The other elements of the 15th Panzer Division, Oberst Maximilian von Heff, began to arrive late in April 41. Hitler orders Directive 22, which is, as I say, the start, really, of the German operations in North Africa in earnest. So, the Yugoslavian campaign is going very well so far. No sort of major problems from what I can tell. And we've won the major battle of Sombor. Yugoslavia lost 5,175 troops in that engagement. It's unbelievable. Crazy. And we have no possibilities to invite into factions at the moment. Yeah, let's continue to build up our troops here. Mainly motorized. And there's our further motorized units here. Let's move these guys south and let's reposition them, I think. I think we're just going to redo the entire motorized army, to be honest. I think that would be best. Struggling with this cav division to punch through this. Yeah, we're only doing light damage because we're not doing it. Do we really need any more armies? Why not? We can move them, I guess, into France. And we've nearly got the last of our oil rigs built in Settin, so I'm just going to watch that get built because I'm very proud of the fact that, you know, we're getting a decent amount of oil from these places. You know, 4 oil from every single place is not too bad. We have a lot of motorized troops. The only issue with invading the Soviet Union is, are we going to have enough fuel? Couldn't sink that one, unfortunately. And, oh, hello. No, no. Don't do landings. Landings are not fun. Right. Okay. Let's move up with the Flak Division Hermann Göring. Let's just make sure all of our units are moving up. Let's take this area here. Let's move up with these units here. They're putting up a fairly decent fight, the Yugoslavians. I mean, all things considered. We've got some shiny new equipment, though, in this siege corps that looks like it wants to get involved. So, let's move it up. Now, all of these units will be ridiculously slow. Unless they are dedicated to proper warfare. So it's one thing to bear in mind, is that all these units are ridiculously slow. But that's not their purpose. Their purpose is to blow up shit. And this is a good test run for them, because there's not much here, and there's nothing really that they have to worry about. We are causing what looks like major casualties. And to be fair, let's have a look. Wow. Yeah, we are sinking convoys like no one's business. Looks like we've taken a few hits though. I don't know what happened to our... Wow, we took some pretty major damage there. Hey now, that's no fair. What do you think you're doing? Yep, so Panzer Brigade 100 is there. Okay. So, we can spread out with these units here. We haven't got a huge amount of fuel going on. Fuel looks like a bit of a concern. Ah, we can create the 14th Panzer Division. Oh god, we're upgrading another infantry division to a Panzer Division. They went Panzer mad, didn't they, in World War II? Right, there we go. So you'll be done by May, so you will be out in time for Barbarossa, but you probably won't be combat operational. Oh well. Right, let's disconnect every single motorized unit. And chuck you over here. And then let's do the same for these Panzers. And put them into our Panzer groups. Then let's take the 3 corps here, disconnect them, and chuck them over here. Got 11th Army that we can move away. 11th Army going over here. Don't you dare, you little fucker. I see what you're doing. And yeah, we've got some corrupt cannons coming up. Just going to combine them. I'm not expecting to attack for another few days yet. They're still arranging themselves. Okay, Manchukuo's there. I think they are definitely struggling. Where are we up to here? So 24 hours, 22 hours. And looks like we stopped running espionage on someone. I'm not sure who it was. We better double check. Maybe someone got... Ah, it was probably Yugoslavia. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Come on, you little shit. Chasing down this partisan unit with their own French equipment. Something kind of beautiful about that. And yeah, we've got the rest of these units all sort of in building at the moment. Just to finish off the Atlantic Wall. And they're attacking Caligari, which has a garrison, so probably not going to work, and looks like nearly at Al Alamein. The Yugoslavians are definitely struggling here. Let's push up there. And let's commit our 50 or so thousand troops. They are doing it over a river crossing, so that's not always the easiest of battles. And doing well with human wave doctrine. Yeah, we will accept that deal for a little bit more crude oil. Thank you, Romania. Right, and we've nearly outflanked them here. Let's support attack. Because we need to take Zagreb. And it looks like we are punching in. This is all going well enough. And yeah, we just finished human wave. Rolling artillery barrages we don't need to worry about. We've got a couple of techs here that have all done. Interception tactics, we're all good. Naval air. Keep that rolling. Yeah, we'll take that off. Yeah, this is where we were up to. Right, let's get rocket interceptor and jet engine research going. And 41 tech, so we can get armoured engineers, mechanization of infantry, defensive position designs, motorized support units, and camouflage designs. These are all very important. Are crushing them. And looks like Japan just made a major breakthrough. Moderately major. By taking out Jiangxi. Should weaken them somewhat. I think it might be starting to rain here. And here we go. So, got another unit that we can chuck on Cherbourg. Let's get range finding equipment. We can't invite anyone else to our faction at the moment. I think all the British units have been dealt with. Oh god, it's going to be one of these games where the Vichy French continuously drop in and out of being in the Axis or being a part of our collaboration. Let's get a few more long-range submarines to soak up that extra IC that we've got. No, sorry, Saudi Arabia. We can't trade with you at the moment. Got the division over, let's use it. So far so good on the old Blitzkrieg. And yeah, we will look to take both of those. Yeah, again, they're just going to come straight back out, so yeah, bit pointless. And there we go. There's our large battleship fleet. That really would have been the worst case scenario for the British in World War II, though. If the Germans had had a battleship fleet like that, of 5 battleships, I don't think they could have handled that, to be honest. I think that would have gone beyond what the British really feasibly could have sunk. Because a lot of the British capital ships were not high standard. They were roughly upgraded World War I era battleships. I mean, the Hood, one engagement with the Bismarck, I mean, you might argue it was a lucky shot. But, you know, it proves quite substantially that realistically the British were not in a great situation with their naval prowess. They just had a large, rather unwieldy army and navy. Sorry, just navy. And it took them a while to sort of actually sink the German ships. A lot of it down to air power. So if they had, you know, had to deal with, you know, the impact of a very large German navy like this, they probably wouldn't have done so well. And in fact, we're going to move up our navy to Calais. And let's move up a lot of our air units. So, like for example, these ones here, these are all pretty large fighter areas. I think that's all of them, isn't it? Let's move them all to Paris. Because we could do with some air cover. And come on, it's only a minor research, oh well. And yep, we'll give you metal. We've outflanked now, so let's start moving on these mountain areas. Bearing in mind it is winter when we're attacking, we're doing pretty well. This is not going too badly at all. We've been able to punch very deep into Yugoslavia. And we will continue the deal, and I mean, 10 manpower. Do we need another army corps? Let's skip it. And aha, the Das Reich. And let's give you a leader. Who have we got? Ah, you'd be perfect. We've got a pretty sizable SS army area now. But stuff the SS. Bunch of twats. But they are good at fighting. At least in the game. And I think, you know, historically in real life, they did a good fighting. Their fighting record was, you know, I don't want to use the word impressive, but they did the job. At certain points. Whether or not they were actually any better though than the army, it's debatable. Okay, so we've got a flavour event here. Motioning you into a study, Hitler motions to his great tome, Mein Kampf. He says he knows exactly what you are doing wrong, and that he alone knows the best direction Germany should go. Hitler tells you to take a seat, pour a glass of the finest mineral water from Bavaria, and listen up. He then launches into a 9-hour reading of Mein Kampf, interspersed with long explanations to why Germany must prevail, along with the occasional bitching about Goering's eating habits and Himmler's peculiar habits. I'll say no more on that. So you get a 50% chance of blood and soil, which gives national manpower modifier, consumer goods going in wartime, peacetime, so that's not that negative. Or 15% IC, which would actually be preferable, except we get 20% wartime goods need. Let's see what we got. Okay. And from a naval perspective, we are doing very well. Sinking a huge amount of British shipping. Let's have a look at how that's going. Let's go look at the last month and look at naval losses. So we lost 54 IC, but they've lost a grand total of 2,600 IC on convoy raiding. So we sank 97,640 tons of cargo. I'm not 100% sure how exactly it worked from a standpoint of tonnage war, what needed to be done to really impact the British war effort. But I know that we've sunk, obviously, a very large amount of cargo. I mean, we're having a pretty crazy impact, aren't we, on tonnage. Yeah, so that's a pretty huge amount of tonnage that we've sunk there. You know, 173. Thousand tons there. And we're even allowing the Italians to push in as a byproduct. Oh, hello, cat. The cat has come and made a special guest appearance. Hello. Okay, so we have... Right, let's have a look. So, Directive 23 on warfare against the British war economy. The Kriegsmarine Naval Staff continuously argued throughout the early years of the war towards Hitler and the OKW to intensify warfare against British shipping efforts and its consequences for the overall war situation. Hey, in my alternative history, I'm building more submarines. Don't yell at me. This persistent undertaking seems to have at least some effect in February 1941. In his Directive number 23 on directions for operations against the English war economy, Hitler set out a strategy for war against the British Empire. In his remarks to the Wehrmacht leadership, Hitler argued that operations against the UK should focus on aerial, it's spelt incorrectly, and naval warfare against imports with the armament industry, which might bring victory in summer 42. With this directive, the air warfare became part of the Kriegsmarine concept of strangling British yards from their vital supply line. The air campaign now included bombing attacks on shipping, shipyards, ports, harbour facilities, supply depots, and the aircraft industry. Hitler claimed that this might pressure the British leadership into surrender negotiations rather soon. However, Hitler's directive asserted that the requirements of other theatres might not allow for a sustained effort. And yet to come, the great campaign further east casts already its shadow. So we concentrate against their economy, which gives us quite a few different extra bonuses here. But we do lose some land and armour build speed, so it offsets the Russia impact from earlier. But we get some strategic bombing efficiency, which will come in handy when I build those twin-engine bombers, because they're not the best at that. And we get some decent production there, so that's good. Happy. And we are ordering Operation Sonnenblume, which means, do we get the... No, we don't get the German units yet to play with. We're only 4 IC off a full production capacity, which is great. And once we get those long-range submarines out, we'll be able to really hamper convoys. We're up to 38 on desert unit training, so that's really good. Can't invite anyone else to our faction, and we are really running out of supply. Like, wow. Okay. Let's make a concerted effort for that for a little while, because that is bonkers. I mean, 121k a day? What's that on? Can't be my submarines. Yeah, so we are going to start wanting to ship over the DAC units to North Africa. Okay, and naval strike tactics have gone to 43. And that's on the 42 tech, so we're going to leave that. Right, so artillery flexibility. That's a 42 tech. Mass assault can keep going. Range finding equipment. So, let's get that one, that one. Let's get self-propelled artillery brigade up. And anti-air ammunition. And we're on 40 techs for that. We can get amphibious light armor, which is useful. And we are being hunted by the looks of it. Looks like we managed to destroy a torpedo boat. It's the first naval loss the Brits have suffered in a while. And it really does look like our naval assets are doing extremely well at running the blockade. Giving energy for things that we need, so that's positive. And we can refit the 3rd Panzer Division, so we shall. And that'll be done by April. And speaking of which, that means you are done. Let's get the 5th Infantry Division. Let's get all of the infantry divisions out of here. So, what have we got? These are all motorized. But you're not, you're not, you're not, you're not. And, oh, you're semi. So we'll move all these guys up. Everything else is a motorized infantry. So, what have we got to work with here? We have this rather small Panzer group. You're infantry based. In fact, many of you are infantry based. But you two aren't. Okay, so all of the Panzer groups, you're going to be Panzer mainly only. And then let's also chuck. So you're a motorized area group, you're a motorized one. Let's put all of you into here. And let's move all of these units back north. Back up towards Berlin. Like it. Okay, so the first German units are starting to arrive now in Tripoli. And at the moment, that just amounts to a heavy anti-tank gun and some armoured cars. But we can get the U-29 flotilla, so we will. Plus some extra tank divisions building. And looks like the Desert Rats division is counter-attacking. We've nearly established a land border with Italy. We're up to 21% here. We've nearly reached Sarajevo, which, for anyone that's into their World War I history, is quite an important town. And that gives us some extra soft attack, so we definitely will take that for the 5% boost. We've only got 7 days of fuel left, so that's not the best news. Good news seems to be, though, that we've sorted out our supply issues. Rommel has arrived in North Africa. And we've nearly completed the full encirclement of these troops here. And why not? We'll take some extra free units. And we are on to the next level of tank tech. And yeah, that's going to remove our flak brigade, unfortunately. Goring's becoming a moderately not shite general. I'm not... We don't need all of these, like, army group HQs. It's starting to get a little bit ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, we need 1 million HQs for half my units. No, no. And we will create the Africa Corps. So we can fold Rommel in. And can we fold in... Oh, no. Do we really need 2 heavy AA in there? Do. So the Africa Corps has been created, which is good. Let's start to move it up. Let's get up to like here. A little bit extra here. Yeah, we don't need that in diplomacy or in espionage. Let's get up to the magic number. Getting 3 spies a day. It's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. And the 5th Light Division has landed. I also want to delete this. Yeah, let's just delete it. This makes it easier if it's just deleted. That encirclement is going very well. As is the possible encirclement here. You can tell we're having a pretty positive impact on the war effort over here. Don't need amphibious light armor at the moment, and we don't need another 89 of that in there. Let's make sure our officer ratio is as high as it can be. You know, we're getting how many officers? We're getting 323 officers a day. That should be more than enough to replace losses. The campaign is going rather slowly. Let's have a look at how we're doing in Naval. We're causing major damage. Looking a little bit ropey though on some of our units, but they are returning to port to be repaired a little bit. There's a single British coastal battleship, of all things, by the looks of it. I don't think the British had any coastal battleships. Not sure what's going on there, but whatever. And on the tonnage side of things, how are we looking? Causing major damage. And in the year, we've sunk nearly 1 million tons of cargo. And that must be causing some problems. No, doesn't look like it is at all. The Soviets have got a pretty large army to have to contend with. Let's chuck the Panzer Group Kleist. Come on. Let's give it to 3rd Panzer Group. Oh no. 3rd Panzer Group has a thing. Okay, yeah. How about this one? I'll do. Does that not? Okay, that doesn't look like. Okay. Here's a better idea. Bye. Right. It's really irritating when it doesn't just, like, immediately go into the thing. Right, we're going to take you. And you. And you. And you. And you. You will be our main Panzer groups, along with... you know what? We'll just leave it at that for now. Looks like the Fortress Busters have done fairly well. Not crazy good, but fairly well. Got another large encirclement sort of happening what looks like relatively soon. It's 41 hours before we can attack again there. We'll do that supply deal. Let's get armoured car designs improved. And I'm nearly at the point where I think we should end this, because I've been playing for a good while in Hearts of Iron. Let's just get to the end of the month, shall we? Okay, so tonnage war is favouring us. No issues in Norway or Sweden at the moment. But there's a random Soviet division just making its way towards Hanko, I assume. There's a lot of Soviet divisions on the border. General strike in the Netherlands. Not bothered. And then after this, I'm going to record some beautiful DAC, because why the hell not? And it looks like our friends, the Italians, managed to take out that British division. Very good. There's a few Australian divisions here. There's a few things that we can capture going on here if we, you know, play this right. And there we go. We've managed to cut off the forces here. And they're pretty close to capitulating now. Where are we up to? Yeah, so once we take Beograd and Split, that should probably do it. Okay, so there's a trade agreement between Vichy France and the Americans, really just to serve American self-interest. Feel free to pause the video just to read that through. It wasn't particularly interesting, so I didn't read it out loud. And this battle has been going on for quite some time. They must nearly be at the point where they're ready to break. Got the Battle of Split ongoing as well. And does that mean that... No, they're still not willing to join the faction. I don't get it. I don't understand with Bulgaria in this game how it works. You know, why they don't join just seems, I don't know, bonkers. Like, I know they didn't technically join the Axis in World War II, but they were heavily, like, linked to them. So, I'm not sure. Anyway, we've got a huge amount of troops now in France, realistically. And we've nearly encircled the Yugoslavian capital. And, here we go. So, Portugal managed to remain neutral throughout the war despite extraordinary pressures from both sides, notably over the strategically located Azores Islands and over the Wolfram tungsten trade. In March 1941, Germany made its first ad hoc Wolfram agreement, so tungsten agreement, for 6 months with Portugal. It was renewed every 6 months through to June 1944. The Reach started paying in gold in 43 to maintain purchases of tungsten. Use economic means with them, which means we get hopefully a trade arrangement. And Bulgaria has joined the pact. So does that mean you join the Axis? Hey, happy days. So that's good. Now the Bulgarians that I've been moaning about have finally joined, and you know what? I feel like that's a good point to end the episode. So let's just have a little look at the diplomatic map mode. So Bulgaria has joined, and we are slowly but surely eviscerating Yugoslavia. In the north, they've been completely destroyed, and there's a pretty large encirclement here. I'm going to call it the split encirclement, because that's really the port that's maintaining them at the moment. And there's also a pretty major encirclement forming here, if we can close it off. And we should see the end of their nation pretty soon. We've had these fortress-busting divisions blowing holes in their houses for a while now, so they should be near enough there. We're just in the middle of reorganizing our motorized and Panzer troops at the moment. So that'll be done hopefully next episode. And then we will start the invasion of the mighty Soviet beast, which hasn't got a huge amount of units on our front at the moment, so I'm going to start having to plan for like terrain. So in the south you often find that Panzer divisions do very well, but in the north it's better to have a slightly smaller Panzer force. I normally like to use, as I say, these Fortress Buster divisions and SS in the north, and then use the sort of faster Panzer units in the south, and then just use infantry in this area here because it's so slow moving. So Panzer's here, infantry here, until you get to about here, in which case everything opens up a little bit and you've got some hilly ground. Finland's normally a good adversary, a good alliance member, so I'm glad we've got them on board. And then we can use Hungary and Romanian troops as well that normally are given to us to bolster our own forces, because there will be gaps in the line with our current lineup, so we need to make sure that we use our forces as well as possible. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode, when we will hopefully start to move our mighty Panzer divisions in North Africa. We will continue our Convoy war, which is going extremely well. Look at all this green. I mean, that is bonkers, the amount of ships we've been able to sink. I mean, did we sink 6 in a single area there? Where did I see that? So 4, 1, 1, yeah, 6 in the last week. You know, that's bonkers. So the amount of troops and the amount of things we're sinking is really quite beautiful. And if we can reduce the British convoy count, well, that would just be amazing. At the moment, it looks like they're not building many convoys at all, so they must have quite the stockpile. But thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks again. Bye-bye.